This short story is called Puppet Master, and here goes. Tomorrow, I will become overlord. I have existed only for this moment, when I will take the crown from my dying father and place it upon my head. It will stay there until I live out my time and my offspring takes the crown. This is the life of those of the blood. But today, I sit on the roof of the fortress, boots braced against stone tiles. I am not supposed to be here, but there is a hollowness inside of me that cannot muster the will to care. My eyes trace the land below me. A curved-ringed mountains capped with its torches encloses my land. Dark forests carpet the south corner, while the remaining space is filled with smoking factories. The forest is surrounded by thousands of bees, cutting and refining lumber. This is the legacy of those of my blood, our ceaseless work to make our land into a prosperous and mighty country. This is the legacy that will become mine tomorrow. The wink of something bright close to my face draws my eyes from the landscape below. I blink and pull my vision back into focus. It is barely visible, but the spiderweb filaments shimmer in the sunlight. It looks almost beautiful now, something ethereal against the black drop of darkness. I know the malevolence hidden beneath that beauty, but I reach my hand out anyway, fingers aching for something beautiful. The sunlight turning my eyelids scarlet and the distant pain in my hands forces me to move too soon. I open my eyes and lift my hands to them. Bright beads of blood the color poppies have welled up at my fingertips. I feel an odd urge to laugh as I stare at them. It is beautiful somehow, something bright and brilliant in a world of subdued black. I trace and line down my arm and press my finger hard against my wrist. The pain jolts through me and I savor it. The sunlight is becoming too much and I stand, making my way over to the door. Before I leave, I turn and look at the land once more. The smog from the factories refracts the sunlight in such a way that it looks like a golden mist blankets the land. For a second, I imagine the land before my ancestors came with their crown and turned it into the mighty nation it is. It is the day I will receive the crown. I bow before my father, and the weight of his gaze pushes me into the stone floor. The air feels like a heartstring waiting to be plucked. I curl my hands into fists and press them into the ground. Look at me. Finally, his voice sounds. A tight feeling forms my gut, and I look up at the overlord. He is gaunt and ghostly white, cheekbones pressed against his taut skin like knives waiting to slice him open from the inside. His fingers are talons, clenched around the black armrests of the throne. But what I can't look away from is the crown. It sits on his head like black tar, a black so deep it seems to swallow the light around it. It is not the shape of a usual crown. The crown is like a skull cap, a tight piece of something that might be stone or metal or bone, an enigma that holds only one thing constant. Once on, it can never be removed. My newly bald head prickles as I stare at it. The overlord's voice wheezes out between his cracked lips. Today you will take the crown from me. You, my son, will take my place. The crown that is the right and the might of our blood passes to you. The words strangle me with a crushing inevitability, and it is all I can do to nod. With a flick of his hand, the overlord motions me out. I turn and walk steadily, footsteps echoing the emptiness inside of me. The balcony where the ceremony will take place is high on the fortress wall. Below, the courtyard is thronged with a motionless, silent crowd. The only movement is in the air, swirling from their expectant breaths. I stand just inside the building, hands resting against the cold, smooth wall, watching the attendants wheel my father out. The man and the throne are both draped with black cloths. The crown is crusted on his skull like fungus. Raising one driftwood arm, the overlord beckons me in. My hands curl and I force him to unfist, breathing slowly. Walking forward, my long robes drag on the stone with a sound like a last dying breath. I lift them with one hand to silence the sound. That will come later. I emerge onto the balcony, blinking in the white sunlight. A noise breaks the silence, and I glance down to see the crowd rustling like a flock of doves. They are reacting to me, I realize. I let my robe fall to the ground again and stand straight, facing my father. His breath wheezes between his thin lips like pneumatics on a dying machine. With his still upraised hand, he motions a silent attendant forward. The figure stops just shy of the edge and raises his hands into the air. A whistling voice issues from underneath the featureless mask he wears. Today is the beginning of a new age of glory. The new takes the place of the old, and our land shall prosper forever. All hail the overlord. The silent crowd suddenly breaks like the shattering of ice on a lake. Their reply gurgles forth like a spurt of icy water. All hail the Overlord. I close my eyes and breathe deeply. I must be fast. The power of the crown holds is too powerful, too wild. It will destroy all without one of the blood to anchor it. When it is on my head, I will hold that power within myself, and I will be Overlord. The attendant walks behind me and removes my hood with a ghostly hand. The air is a shock to my naked scalp, and goosebumps scattered across it. The figure stands next to my father now. His fingers hover over the crown. The crowd is silent again, and this time the silence is smothering. I catch a minuscule shake in the attendant's hands, an almost indecipherable sign of humanity. He will die today. The crown cannot be held by any other than the blood. With a sudden movement, his gloved hand tears the crown away from my father's head, and 4 things happen at once. The air electrifies, and it feels as though some pressure has been lifted. I gasp in, and it is sharp and fresh and strange to my lungs. The unmoving crowd suddenly bursts into action, noise coming from 1,000 throats, people moving in a jerky, unfamiliar way. My father sighs out a deep, rattling breath, then falls limp, his scalp red and mottled where the crown once rested. In the attendant's quickly withering hands, the crown glitters malevolently, seeming to peer at me with a strange intelligence, and I understand. It is a lie. My whole life I have been drugged and complacent, lulled by the knowledge that this is how it should be. I thought my blood had formed this land into a just and powerful empire, but now I see the truth. The overlords are only puppets and hosts for the one thing that truly controls the country, the crown. And now I realize what I must do. I must not let it be put on my head, must not let it control me like it did my father and grandfather and so many more. Once it has attached itself to one of the blood, its influence spreads over the whole land. I will not let this happen. I can change this and free the people. With an electric sizzle, the crown is placed on my head. It is white and hot, and it hurts as it settles on my scalp. Gasping, I gasp as the pain tears through my mind. There was something I had to do. I feel a bone in my hand crack, and I arch my back and scream, the pain of a living thing breaking me inside. My fingers uselessly scrabble against the edge of the crown, nails gouging bloody furrows into my scalp. It won't come off. I can't escape. I can feel it in my head, in my brain, burrowing into my thoughts and snaking its sickly feelers into the deepest parts of my mind. I try to cry out, to tell someone to save me, but all that comes out is a strangled gurgle, and I succumb. It is quiet now. The only noise is the gentle susurrus of the crown in my head, ebbing and flowing like a tide. I look below and see my people, quiet and docile, standing like soldiers ready for orders. I feel a nod of approval, and a sensation of satisfaction bloats me as I realize I have pleased it. This is how it should be. This is how it was, and it is, and always will be. Today, I became Overlord.